The millionaire discovers the black beggar woman he married was never owned by anyone before. Ethan Sterling, golden boy of Wall Street, had it all: money, power, and now Sarah, his beautiful, mysterious wife. Their honeymoon in Greece? A fairy tale, or so it seemed. But the whispers followed Sarah like a shadow. Damaged goods, the Upper East Side snobs hissed. Ethan, blinded by ambition, saw their marriage as a strategic move. But beneath the sun-drenched beaches and forced smiles, something was terribly wrong. Sarah was a ghost, haunted by a past she wouldn't reveal. Then came the call. Her father, a pillar of society, arrested, embezzlement, fraud. Sarah's world started to crack. That night, under the Greek stars, fueled by too much wine, the truth exploded. "I'm not who you think I am, Ethan," she cried, tears streaming down her face. No Vanderbilt blood, no blue-blooded lineage. She was adopted. Ethan's mind raced. Damage control. He pressed, demanded details. Then the bombshell. Before the mansions and privilege, she was a beggar girl living on the streets of Mumbai. A faded photograph, tucked in her journal, confirmed the unbelievable. A child, ragged and barefoot, begging for food. Ethan stared. A flicker of something, understanding, in his eyes. But before he could speak, a sleek, black yacht sliced through the darkness, its spotlight blinding. A figure emerged on deck, waving frantically. Detective Miller, a name Ethan knew all too well, a cleaner from his father's inner circle. "Sterling, we need to talk," Miller shouted over the waves, his voice tight with urgency. "It's about Sarah and her real family. They're not who you think they are. They're connected to something much bigger, something dangerous." What did Miller know? How was Sarah's past about to shatter everything? Antes de continuarmos com essa história incrível, preciso te fazer alerta importante. Muitos inscritos têm relatado que o YouTube removeu suas inscrições sem aviso. Dá só uma conferida rápida no botão vermelho aí embaixo para garantir que você ainda está inscrito no canal. Não quero que você perca nenhum conteúdo exclusivo que vem por aí. E já que você está aí, deixa aquele like poderoso que me ajuda muito com o algoritmo. E me conta nos comentários de qual cidade você está assistindo. Adoro conhecer cada pessoa incrível que faz parte dessa comunidade. Sua participação faz toda a diferença. Vamos, interagir. "Sterling, we need to talk," Miller shouted over the waves, his voice tight with urgency. "It's about Sarah and her real family. They're not who you think they are. They're connected to something much bigger, something dangerous." What did Miller know? How was Sarah's past about to shatter everything? Ethan felt a chill, despite the warm Greek air. Dangerous? Sarah? He'd thought her biggest secret was a childhood of poverty. Now this. He motioned for Miller to come closer. "Spill it, Miller. What the hell is going on?" The yacht pulled alongside. Miller jumped onto the deck, his face grim. Her family, the one she was adopted into, they're not just pillars of society, Sterling. They control society, globally. Think shadowy organizations, economic manipulation, the kind of stuff you only see in movies. Ethan scoffed. "Come on, Miller. You're watching too much TV." Miller shook his head. "This is real, Sterling. And Sarah, she was supposed to be their heir, their weapon." Ethan's gut twisted. Weapon? Sarah? He pictured her on the streets of Mumbai, a beggar girl. How could that connect to global conspiracies? But she ran, Miller continued, his voice low. She didn't want any part of it. They've been looking for her ever since. And now that you're in the picture. Suddenly, Sarah gasped. She was staring past Ethan, her eyes wide with horror. He turned to see what she was looking at. And that's when it happened. A gunshot. Loud, sharp, echoing across the water. Sarah crumpled. Ethan reached for her, caught her as she fell. Blood bloomed on her white dress. He looked up, searching for the shooter. Then he saw it. A small red dot dancing on Miller's forehead. Another shot. Miller dropped like a stone. Chaos erupted. The crew of the yacht screamed. Ethan cradled Sarah, his heart pounding. Sarah, stay with me! But she wasn't moving. Her eyes were closed, her face pale. Then, a voice, cold, calm, coming from a speaker on the yacht. Ethan Sterling, the voice said, smooth as silk, but laced with steel. You've become a problem, a loose end. Forgive us for this inconvenience. It seems your wife had secrets even we didn't know. Secrets worth dying for. Ethan looked down at Sarah, at the blood staining his hands. Secrets? What other secrets could there be? He felt a surge of anger, a primal rage he'd never known he possessed. The voice continued, consider this a warning. Stay away from Sarah's past, or you'll share her fate. Then the most shocking thing of all happened. The calm, cold voice began singing. A lullaby. A sweet, innocent tune. A lullaby. In Hindi. Ethan stared in disbelief, cradling Sarah's lifeless body. A lullaby? What did it mean? And then, with a jolt, he realized where he'd heard it before. It wasn't just a lullaby, it was Sarah's lullaby, the one he'd sometimes heard her hum in her sleep. The yacht sped away, leaving Ethan alone with Sarah, Miller, and a million unanswered questions. Everything he thought he knew was a lie. But who was singing the lullaby? Who knew Sarah that well? And what kind of hell had he just stepped into? And then Sarah coughed. A weak, rattling cough. Her eyes flickered open. She looked at Ethan, a single tear rolling down her cheek. And she whispered one word, a word that shattered everything he thought he knew. Daddy? The word hung in the air, heavier than the salt spray. Ethan's world tilted. He stared at Sarah, blood staining. Her dress, her face white as a sheet. Daddy? What the hell was going on? He shook her gently. Sarah, what did you say? Who's your daddy? Her eyes fluttered, unfocused. He told me, he always told me. Suddenly, sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. The yacht crew was a mess, huddled together, whispering in hushed tones. Fear radiated from them. Ethan knew he had to get out of there, and fast. He scooped Sarah up in his arms, ignoring the searing pain in his heart. He wasn't thinking straight, just acting on instinct. He had to protect her, even if he didn't understand anything that was happening. We're leaving, he barked at the crew. Now! They scrambled to obey, fear propelling them. The yacht turned sharply, slicing through the waves towards the mainland. Ethan held Sarah close, whispering reassurances, though he wasn't sure if she could even hear him. As they sped away, he glanced back at the spot where Miller had fallen. Gone. Vanished into the dark water, and the yacht that had delivered the chilling lullaby, a distant speck on the horizon. Back at their villa, Ethan laid Sarah on the bed. He ripped open her dress, trying to find the wound. It was high on her chest, close to her heart. He pressed a clean cloth against it, praying it wasn't too late. He called for a doctor, his voice raw with urgency. Then he sat beside Sarah, watching her, his mind racing. Daddy? Who was her daddy? The man who sang the lullaby? The head of some shadowy organization? He remembered the photo he'd seen, the ragged little girl begging in the streets of Mumbai. How could that girl become this woman, married to a Wall Street tycoon, tangled in a web of global conspiracies? And then it hit him. The adoption. Her pillar of society father. What if he wasn't just a pillar? What if he was the pillar? The one holding everything up. The doctor arrived, a frantic man with a medical bag. He examined Sarah quickly, his face grim. She's lost a lot of blood. It's touch and go. Ethan paced the room, his energy explosive. He couldn't just sit there. He needed answers. He grabbed his phone, dialing a number he hadn't used in years. "Yeah?" a gruff voice answered. "It's Ethan. I need your help." "Ethan Sterling? What the hell do you want? And why are you calling me after all this time?" "It's about Sarah. She's been shot, and I think her father is involved." A long pause. "Her father? You mean Vanderbilt?" "No," Ethan said, his voice tight. "I mean her father, the one she knew before, the one who sang her lullaby." The line went silent. Then a slow, deliberate voice. "Meet me. Dock 7, midnight. And Ethan, come alone." His heart pounding. He didn't know who he was meeting, or what he was walking into. But he knew he had to do it. For Sarah. He glanced back at the bed. Sarah was still unconscious, her face pale. He took her hand, squeezing it gently. Suddenly, her eyes snapped open. They were wide, alert, and filled with a coldness Ethan had never seen before. "Ethan," she said, her voice clear and strong, "don't trust anyone." Then she smiled, a slow, chilling smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Especially," she whispered, "your daddy." "Ethan," she said, her voice clear and strong, "don't trust anyone." Then she smiled, a slow, chilling smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Especially," she whispered, "your daddy." My daddy? What the? My head was spinning. I barely knew my dad. A cold fish who cared more about his bottom line than his own son. What was Sarah talking about? The doctor was fussing, muttering about stabilizing her. I needed to get out of there, get answers. But I couldn't just leave her. Dock 7, midnight. That was in a few hours. I looked back at Sarah. Her eyes were closed again, her breathing shallow. Was she faking? Was any of this real? I grabbed my phone, my hands shaking. I had to call someone, tell someone what was happening. But who could I trust? Then I saw it, lying on the nightstand, half hidden by a tissue. A familiar object, a tarnished silver compass. My compass, the one my grandfather gave me before he died. The one I hadn't seen since I was a kid. The one my dad always carried. How the hell did Sarah have it? Suddenly, the pieces started clicking together. Sarah's father connected to shadowy organizations. The lullaby in Hindi. The fact that she knew my dad was involved. My dad. He wasn't just a cold, distant businessman. He was something else, something terrifying. And Sarah knew. She knew, and she married me anyway. Why? The doctor cleared his throat. She needs rest, Mr. Sterling. You should let her sleep. Yeah, sleep. That's what I needed too. A long, deep sleep to wake up from this nightmare. But I couldn't. Not yet. I had a meeting to get to. I left the villa, the Greek air suddenly feeling cold against my skin. The drive to Dock 7 felt like an eternity. Every shadow seemed to hide a threat. Every car that passed seemed to be following me. When I finally arrived, the dock was deserted. Just me, the water, and the endless black sky. I waited, my heart pounding. Then, a figure emerged from the darkness, tall, imposing, silhouetted against the moonlight. My dad. He walked towards me, his face unreadable. He stopped a few feet away, his eyes cold and hard. "Ethan," he said, his voice flat, "you shouldn't have come." "Who is Sarah?" I demanded, my voice shaking. "What does she have to do with you?" He sighed, a long, weary sound. "Sarah is complicated. Let's just say she's a loose end that needs to be tied up." "Tied up? You tried to kill her!" He chuckled, a dry, humorless sound. "I never wanted to hurt her, Ethan. But she knows too much. She always did." "Knows about what? About you? About what you really are?" He stepped closer, his eyes boring into mine. "You have no idea what I am, Ethan. What we are. You're just a pawn in a much bigger game." "A game? Sarah's life is a game to you?" He grabbed my arm, his grip like steel. "Don't be naive, Ethan. Everyone's life is a game. The only question is, are you playing to win or are you playing to lose?" He released my arm and turned to leave. "Wait!" I shouted. "Who is her father? The one who sang the lullaby?" He stopped, his back to me. He hesitated for a moment, then turned around, a strange look on his face. "You really want to know, Ethan? You really want to know the truth?" I nodded, my heart pounding in my chest. He took a deep breath and said, "I am." You're her father?" He nodded slowly. "That's right, son. Sarah is your sister." Sarah is your sister. You're her father?" He nodded slowly. "That's right, son. Sarah is your sister." My sister? Sarah? This couldn't be happening. This had to be some kind of sick joke, some twisted game my dad was playing. "No," I said, shaking my head. "That's not possible. It can't be." "It is, Ethan. I didn't want you to find out like this, but—" He trailed off, his face etched with a weariness I'd never seen before. "But what? How? You have to explain." He took a deep breath. "The long time ago, before your mother, I was in Mumbai. I was involved in things, dangerous things. I met a woman, a beautiful woman, Sarah's mother." He paused, looking out at the dark water. "We had a brief affair. When I found out she was pregnant, I wanted to do the right thing. But things got complicated. I couldn't stay. I had responsibilities here. I made a deal. I provided for them, but I couldn't be a part of their lives." "So you just abandoned them?" I accused, my voice rising. "It wasn't like that. I made sure they were taken care of, but I couldn't risk bringing them here, into my world. It was too dangerous." "And what about the adoption? The Vanderbilts?" "That was part of the deal. a way to give Sarah a better life, a chance to escape the streets. I thought I was doing what was best for her. Best for her? By lying to her her entire life? By turning her into a pawn in your sick game? He flinched, but didn't say anything. I stared at him, trying to process everything he was saying. My head was spinning. My wife, the woman I loved, was my sister, and my father, the man I barely knew, had orchestrated it all. Suddenly a pair of headlights appeared on the road, cutting through the darkness. A car was approaching, fast. "We need to go," my dad said, his voice urgent. "They know we're here." "Who knows?" Before he could answer, the car screeched to a halt, blocking the entrance to the dock. Several figures jumped out, their faces hidden in the shadows. They were armed. "Sterling," one of them shouted, "come out with your hands up." My dad grabbed my arm, pulling me towards the water. "We have to go, now." But as we turned to run, something slammed into my back. A sharp, searing pain. I stumbled, falling to the ground. I looked up to see my dad standing over me, a gun in his hand. He hadn't shot me. He'd shot one of the men coming towards us. My dad was fighting them off, giving me a chance to get away. But why? Why was he protecting me? He glanced back at me, his face grim. "Go, Ethan. Get out of here. Find Sarah, protect her. Tell her I'm sorry." Then he turned back to face the attackers, firing his gun. I couldn't just leave him, but I knew he was right. I had to protect Sarah. I stumbled to my feet and ran, leaving my father to face his fate. As I ran, I heard a voice, a familiar voice, calling my name. "Ethan!" I stopped, turning around. Standing in the shadows, her face pale, was Sarah. But it wasn't just Sarah. Standing beside her was a woman I'd never seen before. A woman with the same dark eyes, the same sharp features. Sarah's mother. And then, Sarah smiled, a slow, chilling smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Hello, brother," she said. "Welcome to the family." And in that moment, I knew that everything I thought I knew was a lie, and that the real nightmare was just beginning. "Hello, brother," she said. "Welcome to the family." My blood ran cold. Brother? What kind of messed up family was this? I stared at Sarah, at the woman beside her, trying to make sense of it all. But my brain was short-circuiting. "What's going on?" I stammered. "Who is she?" Sarah smiled. A truly evil smile this time. "This, Ethan, is our mother, the woman Dad kept, hidden away for all these years." My head spun. My dad, her mom, it was too much. And why was Sarah acting like this? Like she was enjoying my confusion, my pain. "Mom," Sarah continued, turning to the woman beside her, Tell him the truth about everything." The woman stepped forward, her eyes cold and calculating. "The truth, Ethan, is that your father was a fool. He thought he could control us, that he could keep us in the shadows. But we had other plans." She paused, a cruel glint in her eyes. Sarah was always special. Strong. She knew from a young age what she wanted. And she knew that you, Ethan, were the key. The key to what? To everything, darling. To the Sterling Empire. To the power and wealth that your father so desperately craved. I looked at Sarah, then at her mother. They were in this together. They'd been manipulating me, using me, all along. "You used me," I said, my voice barely a whisper. You both used me. Sarah laughed, a harsh, mocking sound. Of course we did, Ethan. What else were you good for? You were just a pawn in our game. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The woman I loved, the woman I thought I knew, was a monster. And her mother, she was even worse. Suddenly, I felt a sharp pain in my side. I looked down to see Sarah holding a knife, the blade dripping with blood. Sorry, brother, she said, her voice devoid of emotion, but you know too much, and we can't have you interfering with our plans. I staggered back, clutching my side. The pain was excruciating. I couldn't believe she'd done this. She'd actually stabbed me. Why? I gasped. Why are you doing this? Because, she said, her eyes blazing with hatred. We're going to take everything from you, Ethan. Everything your father built, everything you hold dear, and there's nothing you can do to stop us. Then, out of nowhere, a shot rang out. Sarah gasped, clutching her chest. She crumpled to the ground, the knife falling from her hand. Her mother screamed, rushing to her side. Sarah, no! I stared in disbelief. Who had shot her? Then I saw him, standing in the shadows, a gun in his hand. My dad. But it wasn't just my dad. Standing beside him was Detective Miller, the cleaner, the man who was supposed to be dead. What the hell was going on? My dad lowered the gun, his face grim. I'm sorry, Ethan, he said, but I had no choice. She was too dangerous. They both were. Then Miller stepped forward, his eyes cold and calculating. He pointed his gun at Sarah's mother. It's over, he said. The game is over. But as he pulled the trigger, something completely unexpected happened. Sarah's mother lunged forward. Grabbing Miller's arm, the gun went off, but the bullet missed her. Then, with a speed and strength I didn't think possible, she disarmed Miller and turned the gun on my dad. You betrayed me, she screamed. You betrayed us all. And then she pulled the trigger, but she wasn't aiming at my dad. She was aiming at me. She was aiming at me. Everything went silent, like the world just hit pause. I saw the gun, the flash, heard the bang, but it was all muffled, distant. Then the pain, not the sharp, stabbing pain from Sarah's knife. This was different. A burning, tearing, all-consuming agony. I knew, instantly, this was it. I crumpled to the ground, everything going blurry. I saw my dad, his face a mask of horror. I saw Miller, frozen in place, his mouth hanging open. I saw Sarah's mother, a look of triumph on her face. And then I saw Sarah. She was staring at me, her eyes wide with something. Not hatred, not triumph. Something else. Something I couldn't quite place. She tried to say something, but no sound came out. She just looked at me, her eyes pleading. Then everything went black. I woke up, not in some bright, heavenly place, not in some dark, fiery hell. I woke up on the dock, the cold, hard dock. I was alive, but something was wrong, terribly, profoundly wrong. I tried to move, but I couldn't. My limbs were heavy, unresponsive. I looked down, and that's when I saw it. I wasn't lying on the dock. I was in the water, floating. My body was there all right, pale, lifeless, floating face down in the harbor. But I was somewhere else, somewhere above. I was looking down at myself. Panic seized me. What was happening? Was I dead? Was this some kind of out-of-body experience? Then I heard a voice, a woman's voice, soft, gentle, like a lullaby. "Don't be afraid, Ethan." I turned, searching for the source of the voice. And that's when I saw her. Standing beside me, shimmering like moonlight, was Sarah. But it wasn't the Sarah I knew. Not the cold, calculating Sarah who had just tried to kill me. This Sarah was different, pure, innocent. "Sarah?" I whispered, my voice barely audible. "What's happening?" She smiled sadly. "It's time you knew the truth, Ethan. The real truth." She reached out, taking my hand. Her touch was cold, yet comforting. "You were never supposed to be involved in any of this. You were always just a pawn, Ethan, but not in the way you think. Everyone was protecting you, and you deserve to finally know why." I looked at her confused. Protecting me? From what? From who? She took a deep breath. "From yourself, Ethan. From your own nature." She paused, her eyes filled with a deep sadness. "You see, Ethan, you have a twin brother." "My twin brother? I never had a brother. Never knew one. You were separated at birth by your father. He sent your brother away because he knew. He knew what he was capable of. He sent him away and hid him to protect you." She took another breath, steeling herself. "That brother, Ethan, is no other than our mother. Your dad knew all along, you see. Sarah and I are not sisters. I am your twin sister, and we have been working together ever since." "Our mother?" I asked, barely finding my voice. But why? Why all this?" "She wanted to take over our father's legacy. She wanted you away from the company. Because you, my dear brother, are the rightful heir. You are the only rightful heir. Now, however, I will be the one to take it all. She took care of the last piece of the puzzle so that I can reign free." I stared at her, my mind reeling. My sister? Sarah was my sister? I looked down at my lifeless body floating in the water. "And now," Sarah whispered, "you are free." "And now," Sarah whispered, "you are free." I looked down at my body, bobbing in the water. Free to drown? Free to be forgotten? "What happens now?" I asked, but Sarah just smiled, a sad, knowing smile. "That's not for me to say, Ethan. Your path, it's yours now." And then she was gone, just like that. Poof! I was alone again, floating above the dock, watching the chaos below. My dad and Miller were grappling with Sarah's mother, the scene a blur of shouting and struggling. My body just floated. Suddenly, everything went quiet. The fight stopped. Sarah's mother was lying on the ground, motionless. My dad and Miller stood over her, breathing hard. Miller walked to the edge of the dock and looked down at my body. He shook his head. "Too bad, kid. You didn't deserve this." He turned to my dad. "What do we do now, Mr. Sterling?" My dad looked at my body, then at Miller, then back at my body again. He looked lost. "We clean it up, Miller. We always do." Miller nodded, pulling out his phone. "I'll call the guys. They'll take care of everything." He started to dial, but then he stopped. He stared at my dad. His eyes narrowed. "Wait a minute," Miller said, his voice low. "Something's not right." My dad frowned. "What are you talking about, Miller?" "The bullet. It was a hollow point. You used hollow points, Mr. Sterling. You never use hollow points. My dad's face paled. He didn't say anything. Miller stepped closer, his gun raised. Why did you use hollow points, Mr. Sterling? Unless you wanted to make sure he was really dead. My dad didn't move. He just stood there, his face a mask of, what? Guilt? Fear? Tell me, Mr. Sterling, Miller pressed, his voice cold. Why did you really kill your son? Then everything changed. My dad lunged. Not at Miller. At my body. He dove into the water, splashing and thrashing. Miller shouted, "What the hell are you doing?" My dad ignored him. He reached my body, grabbed it, and started pulling it towards the dock. But then he stopped. He looked down at my face, his expression changing from determination to shock. He let go of my body. "Oh my God," he whispered. "No, it can't be." He scrambled back to the dock, his face white as a ghost. He grabbed Miller's arm, his grip like a vice. "It's not him, Miller," he shouted. "It's not Ethan. It's him." Miller stared at my dad, then at my body in the water. He looked confused, disbelieving. "What are you talking about, Mr. Sterling? That's Ethan. That's your son." My dad shook his head, his eyes wide with terror. "No, Miller, you don't understand. That's not Ethan. That's Damien." Damien? Who the hell was Damien? My dad started ranting, his voice rising to a scream. "He switched them, Miller. He switched them years ago. Ethan isn't Ethan. Damien is. He took his place. He stole his life." Miller stared at my dad, then back at the body in the water. And then, slowly, a look of understanding dawned on his face. "Oh my God," he whispered. "You're right. The scar. It's on the wrong side." He looked back at my dad, his eyes filled with horror. "You killed your own son, Mr. Sterling. You killed Damien." My head was spinning. This was insane. My dad. He killed Damien? Who was Damien? And what did he mean I wasn't Ethan? Then I felt it. A jolt. A sharp, searing pain, like a lightning bolt striking my soul. I screamed, but no sound came out. Doubled over, clutching my chest, and then everything went white. When I could see again, I wasn't at the docks anymore. In fact, I was somewhere else entirely. It was as if I was reliving a childhood memory. I could see a younger version of my dad and another family he used to be close with, but were estranged due to some complication. My younger self was also there, playing, seemingly happy as ever, unaware of the reality of things. Then I see another child appear. It's me again, but something's different, very different. He seems to be more troubled, as if carrying a weight of the world on his shoulders. He looked like he was made of pure darkness. He gave off a chilling aura. My vision begins to blur, and I struggle to keep seeing what I was observing from above. But then the last images struck me, revealing the truth I never could have imagined. I gasped awake. Eu acordei. Não estava mais no cais, nem em lugar nenhum que eu reconhecesse. Era como se estivesse revivendo uma memória da infância. Eu podia ver uma versão mais jovem do meu pai e outra família de quem ele costumava ser próximo, mas que estavam afastados devido a alguma complicação. Meu eu mais jovem também estava lá, brincando, aparentemente feliz como sempre, inconsciente da realidade das coisas. Então eu vejo outra criança aparecer, Sou eu de novo, mas algo é diferente. Muito diferente. Ele parece estar mais perturbado, como se carregasse o peso do mundo sobre os ombros. Ele parecia ser feito de pura escuridão. Ele emanava uma aura assustadora. Minha visão começou a ficar turva e eu lutei para continuar vendo o que estava observando de cima. Mas então as últimas imagens me atingiram, revelando a verdade que eu nunca poderia ter imaginado. Acordei sobressaltado. E então eu soube. De repente, tudo fez sentido. Os pesadelos, a raiva, a sensação constante de vazio. Damien. Aquele não era só um nome, uma lembrança esquecida. Era parte de mim. Eu era Damien. E Ethan era meu irmão, o verdadeiro herdeiro, o filho que meu pai amava, o filho que eu invejava. A troca. Meu pai tinha razão. Alguém nos trocou. E eu tinha vivido a vida dele. Tinha roubado seu lugar. Tinha me tornado Ethan. Mas quem? Quem faria uma coisa dessas? E por quê? Meus olhos se abriram e eu estava de volta na doca, a água fria me envolvendo. Mas agora eu sabia. Não era Ethan quem estava morto ali. Era Damien. Era eu. E Sarah sabia. Ela sempre soube. Aquela mulher doente. Aquela traidora. Raiva. Uma raiva fria e implacável tomou conta de mim. Eu não ia deixar isso barato. Eu não ia deixar Sarah e aquela mulher ficarem com nada. Eu lutei para sair da água, meus músculos gritando de dor. Mas eu tinha que continuar. Eu tinha que me vingar. Miller e meu pai estavam parados perto dos corpos, discutindo alguma coisa. Eles não me viram. Não ainda. Eu me arrastei para fora da água, tremendo de frio e raiva. Eu precisava de uma arma. Precisava de um plano. Olhei em volta desesperado e então eu vi a arma, jogada no chão, perto do corpo de Miller. Eu me arrastei até ela, meus dedos tremendo enquanto a pegava. Ela estava fria e pesada na minha mão. Eu me levantei, cambaleando. Miller e meu pai ainda estavam discutindo. Eles não faziam ideia do que estava prestes a acontecer. Eu respirei fundo, tentando acalmar meus nervos. E então eu mirei na direção de Sarah. Eu mirei na direção de Sarah. Ela tinha me enganado. Ela tinha me usado. Ela tinha destruído a minha vida. Ou o que eu achava que era minha vida. A arma estava pesada na minha mão. Meus dedos tremiam. Eu podia sentir o ódio fervendo dentro de mim. Mas então eu vi o rosto dela. O rosto ela de verdade. Não a máscara de frieza e manipulação que ela tinha usado comigo, mas o rosto de uma mulher assustada, arrependida, quase triste. E então eu me lembrei dos momentos bons, dos sorrisos, dos abraços, do amor que eu tinha sentido por ela, ou que eu tinha acreditado sentir. A minha mão tremeu ainda mais. Eu não podia fazer isso. Eu não podia atirar nela. Eu abaixei a arma. E foi aí que tudo aconteceu. De novo. Um grito. Um tiro. Um corpo caindo. Mas não era Sarah. Era meu pai. Miller estava parado ao lado dele, a arma fumegando, o rosto dele sem nenhuma emoção. Eu olhei para Sarah. Ela estava chorando, desesperada. Ela correu até o meu pai, se ajoelhando. Ao lado dele. Pai, não, por favor, não me deixe. Ela o chamou de pai. Então, era tudo verdade. Tudo o que meu pai tinha dito sobre a troca, sobre Damien, sobre ela, era tudo verdade. Miller se aproximou de mim, a arma ainda apontada. Sinto muito, garoto. Mas você sabe demais. Não posso deixar você sair daqui vivo. Eu fechei os olhos. Eu não me importava mais. Eu tinha perdido tudo. Minha vida, minha família, meu amor. Tudo. Mas então, eu senti algo. Uma mão. Uma mão quente e macia segurando a minha. Eu abri os olhos. Era Sarah. Ela estava olhando para mim, seus olhos cheios de, não ódio, não desprezo, mas compaixão. Fuja, ela sussurrou. Saia daqui, eles vão te matar. Eu a olhei, confuso. Por que ela estava me ajudando? Eu sinto muito, ela disse, as lágrimas escorrendo pelo seu rosto. Eu sinto muito por tudo, por ter te usado, por ter mentido para você. Mas você não merece morrer. Ela apertou a minha mão. Vá, ela disse. Viva, seja feliz. Por favor, por mim. Então, ela se levantou e se colocou na frente de Miller, me protegendo. Eu não consegui me mexer. Eu estava paralisado. Não faça isso, Miller disse, sua voz fria. Saia da frente, Sarah. Não, ela disse, sua voz firme. Você não vai machucá-lo. Miller hesitou. Por um momento, eu achei que ele fosse desistir. Mas então, ele sorriu. Um sorriso frio e cruel. E ele puxou o gatilho. Mas ele não atirou em Sarah. Ele atirou em mim, de novo. E então, tudo ficou escuro. Eu acordei, de novo. Mas dessa vez, não havia doca. Não havia água. Não havia corpos. Havia apenas escuridão. Eu estava sozinho, perdido, assustado. E então, eu ouvi uma voz. Bem-vindo, a voz disse, ao seu novo lar. De onde vinha essa voz? Quem estava me chamando? Qual será o meu destino? Você precisa saber o que acontece a seguir. Apenas os verdadeiros fãs vão descobrir a verdade. Por isso, inscreva-se agora no canal para não perder nenhuma das próximas histórias exclusivas, que vão explodir sua mente. Este é o momento para demonstrar seu apoio e garantir que você não vai ficar de fora. Esmague o botão de like agora para alimentar o algoritmo e mostrar para o YouTube que você quer mais histórias como essa. O seu like é o combustível que nos move. Inunde a seção de comentários com suas reações e teorias sobre esse final inacreditável. Queremos saber tudo o que você está pensando. Não espere nem mais um segundo para compartilhar este vídeo com pelo menos 5 amigos que precisam conhecer esse desfecho. Eles vão te agradecer para sempre. Apenas os verdadeiros fãs compreendem a importância de apoiar o canal com estas ações. Mostre que você faz parte desse time. Clique em inscrever-se. Deixe seu like, comente e compartilhe. O destino de Ethan, ou melhor, Damian, está em suas mãos.